Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's go ahead and get started with our guest today. First question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Mitch Smith, currently founder of Rootloud, based down in Charleston, South Carolina. My background has been, since 1993, is launching technology companies. So, our real focus today is taking that digital experience, so digital innovation that we designed to hopefully improve both people and process.
Oh, that's great. Great perspective on that. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
Well, I think J.D. Rockefeller said it best. Surround yourself with people smarter than you are. So I think that's the key to having a team, is making sure that when you build a team, you've got the right people in the right place that are smarter in those elements. And inevitably, the team's got to be passionate about your why. Because if they're passionate about the why, like why are we doing this, the answers to the what's and the how's become easier to manage.
That's a great comment. I like your comment, especially about getting the why established early with your team. That's an important piece. Question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell us your thoughts.
Well, I say that's BS. If there's any reason that an employee is not engaged, it's generally because of a leader. I think one of the biggest failures in corporate America right now is the lack of leadership. So if leaders could raise their emotional intelligence and first hire the right people for their teams and put the people in the right place and listen, have that empathy for them, they'll find that their people really do have a desire to be engaged. And ultimately, if you build the right team where they're working together, even when one person's down, just like a basketball game. I mean, Jordan wasn't always up. Pippen had to step up sometimes. So when you have a good organized team, the other players on the team can actually help that person or offset any weakness, which is generally periodic. It's something, something minimal. But also the leader's got to recognize when that person on their team just needs an afternoon off or a day off to get their mind off of whatever they're going through. In light of what we've gone through with COVID, I think that highlights the fact that you've got to be aware of what's going on in their circles. And when you are, they're going to stay engaged because you're caring about what's going on.
Those are some great comments about hiring and then keeping people engaged all the way through the process and really having that listening and that empathy. I really like those comments.
Well, let me add one more thing to that. Lou Holt, my former assistant was Lou Holtz's assistant. Lou Holtz every year asked his players a 70-question survey because he knew year by year their goals, everything changed year by year for that athlete in college. And because he was aware of that, he knew how to motivate them, how to encourage them, where their fears were, where their struggles were. And I think that's what made him a Hall of Fame coach.
I agree. Wow, 70 questions. That's impressive.
Yeah.
He got to know his players very well, obviously.
He really did.
Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that you just got to be aware of what your team's weakest link is. I learned when consulting at Chick-fil-A, I think they do it better than anyone. They're very aware through tools like Strength Finders and some other tools of constantly assessing where their team is weak, especially when they were going to hire someone or somebody got promoted and moved to another team. But I think Vern Harnish nailed it as well in his book Scaling Up, when he says you also have to recognize those things that are mundane, the things they don't enjoy doing. So when you find out what your weakest link is and you hire to that weakest link, now you've got a strong team. And and to Vern Harnish's perspective, if there's something your team does that is monotonous, that it's just not data entry or whatever it may be, somebody was created with that gift and that desire to do that. So put that person on your team. So I think those are my 2 biggest ones. Just be aware of your team and their strengths.
Great comments. I love that a lot. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
Yeah, so I would say, and mine are probably going to be, so one person specific is Mark Miller at Chick-fil-A. If you look at the culture of Chick-fil-A, Mark was instrumental in that. And he's written many books on that. You can look it up, Mark Miller from Chick-fil-A. And the whole idea of servant leadership to this whole idea of strengthening teams using the Gallup program. I think Mark is inevitably one of the greatest I've ever met and worked alongside of. As far as the CEO that has encapsulated this, no doubt, Tobin Castles at Southeastern Freight in Columbia, South Carolina, one of the largest trucking companies in America. And no leader I've seen has done such a good job at that and still does it today. And then there's some people that I think have done it and then wrote books about it. One is Anthony Bell, who wrote the book Great Leadership and Rescue in Healthcare. And then I have to also give a call out to a book that I recommend all the time for leaders, which is Michael Stenier's book, The Coaching Habit. You know, those 7 key questions you can use every day with your team and really engage them and know what's happening.
Those are great recommendations. Thank you for recognizing those people. Well, last question. Tell us about your first job.
Well, when you grow up in Kershaw, South Carolina on a big farm, it's farming. So, mine was riding tractors to plowing fields to throwing watermelons during the summer and even throwing hay bales. So that goes back to probably how I got my work ethic, was growing up on a farm.
Boy, working on a farm will give you some work ethic, that's for sure.
Yes, it will.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Mitch, and thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
It's very easy. Just like you would at a football game, it's rootloud.com, rootloud.com. So just go to rootloud.com and find out any information there, get on our calendar, and contact us directly.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.